Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Starting to get dark early. It's not even 5 o'clock yet, it's almost dark. So if the quality here is a little bit pixelated, it's because low light on these cameras is not great. So today's topic is going to be pain does not necessarily mean damage. So I'll get to that in a minute. Let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. Breathe in the peace. Exhale the stress. Breathe in the silence. Exhale the noise. Breathe in the clarity. Exhale the doubt. So pain does not mean damage, not necessarily. So I get a lot of people when I talk to them. They'll talk about, well, you know, when I injured my back, or when I injured my feet, or my this or my that, man, the pain never went away. And people automatically assume that pain means injury, pain means damage. And that's kind of how we were raised. If something hurts, you must have hurt it, right? You must have injured it or damaged it in some way. But the key concept that I always talk about is the fact that the body always heals. It always does. And so if your pain lasts longer than a traditional or typical healing time frame, then something else is going on. And that something else is this learned pain, and what I'm now calling perceived danger pain. Because if you believe you injured something, and you keep on walking on it, and you keep on convincing yourself that I'm not letting it heal, and therefore I'm risking damaging it, i.e. danger, then it's no wonder that the brain can continue, based on that perceived danger, to keep the pain going. Even though there may not have been an injury in the first place, it might have just been an onset of TMS, or this perceived danger pain. Or if there was an injury, it's likely already healed. Because most minor injuries heal within days or a week or two. Significant injuries like bones breaking tend to heal in 6 to 8 weeks, right? So when you say, I injured myself at the gym, or I bent over and I injured my back, or I injured this, I injured that, what actual evidence do you have of the injury besides the pain? Because as I've said before, pain is not a reliable indicator of the condition of the body. I had back pain for 13 years. I did not have an injury that lasted 13 years, but I had a brain that was convinced that I had a bad back, and so it kept the pain going because of the perceived danger of moving, sitting down, walking, bending over, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, at the end of the 13 years, there was never any injury, right? There was never any damage that kept it going. What kept it going was the fear, the attention I gave that pain, and the perceived danger that I taught my brain by saying, oh, I got a bad back, can't do this, can't do that, that's too heavy, I can't bend over, right? So pain does not necessarily mean damage. People with neuropathy think the nerves are damaged. Well, what evidence do you have of nerve damage other than the presence of pain? Again, nerve pain does not necessarily mean nerve damage. Is it possible? Maybe, possibly. But is it likely? Not very. The body heals. You know, and people will say, oh, you know, I've got all these pains for all these years and I'm afraid that I've injured them and I've never stopped using my feet or my arms or whatever, so it never healed. And that's not even that realistic. I mean, the body does heal. Even if you walk on a sprained ankle, it will still eventually heal. It'll take a lot longer, but it will still eventually heal. Why? Because that's what the body does. So, pain does not mean damage. Pain is not a reliable indicator as to the condition of the body, but it is a reliable indicator as to the brain's perception of danger. So, if you're the type who is walking around using medical labels like neuropathy, plantar fasciitis, I don't know, bursitis, I don't know, bone on bone. You're talking medical things, herniated disc, bulging disc, right? Sciatica. These things are medical labels, which the brain's listening and paying attention. The brain's always going to say, well, that sounds medical, that sounds physical, that sounds structural. So once you've done the assessments, take the pain test, yourpaintest.com. Take that pain test. If it's over 29, that means your symptoms are absolutely mind-body created by the brain based on perceived dangers. And if it's slightly under that, that doesn't mean it's not TMS. It just means that due to the fear and the attention you're giving the symptoms, it's possible your symptoms are a little bit more consistent or constant, and therefore, the test is kind of scored based on more moving or changing or symptoms that come and go or change in intensity. But if you've got a ton of fear, a ton of focus, our pains can be fairly high and fairly constant, in which case you're not going to score as high on the pain test. But I wouldn't look at that as a definitive. Look at your own evidence. How did the pain start? Was it a true injury? Did you get in a car accident? Did you fall off the roof or out of a tree? Did you get hit by a bus? Those are traumatic body injuries. Bending over to put on my underwear is how mine started. 13 years worth of pain. I probably used the term injury for a long time, for at least the first year, till I found out about Sarno. But listen to the language you use when you're describing the pain to yourself or to others. Because oftentimes I will say, well, how do you know it was an injury? Well, an acute onset of pain, people just assume it's an injury. It's not. I had an acute onset of TMS, mind-body pain, based on perceived dangers. So, just really trying to poke a hole in your theory that your body is the problem. Because if you don't have hard evidence that your body is the problem, it's very likely that it's become learned pain. And if the pain's been around for longer than an injury would take to heal, then it's definitely been learned pain. I believe all chronic pain has become learned by the brain based on this perception that I've got a physical problem, and the fear and the attention we give it teaches the brain to wire it, those neuroplastic connections. So overall, the reason I'm trying to poke holes in this theory that your body is the problem is because it's really hard to teach the brain to let go of the pain if you truly believe in your gut that your body's damaged, right? So make a decision, do the assessment, take the pain test, make a decision that this is TMS. Stop using language that describes it as if it's an injury or a physical manifestation, with some of those medical labels that the doctors give us. Even things like fibromyalgia. Please stop using the term. Fibromyalgia is TMS. It is mind-body. It is perceived danger, pain, and other symptoms. Right? Those terminologies just kind of keep us stuck longer, believing that we're broken, and that will delay recovery. So as much as possible, call your symptoms mind-body, perceived danger, pain, or symptoms. TMS, if you like that terminology. Neuroplastic pain, although that's not as descriptive. Anyway, love you guys and gals. Stop using medical labels. Stop telling yourself that you injured yourself. Because if you injured your back a year and a half ago, it's already healed. Any true injury would have healed already. If the pain persists, it's based on focus and the attention and the fear that we give the symptoms, and that can cause it to become learned or wired. And so the best way to unwire it, unlearn it, is to teach the brain that these perceived dangers are not really dangerous, and that there is no true injury. Like I said, any injury has already healed, and most likely it was an acute onset of TMS anyway. Because again, unless you fell out of a tree, got hit by a bus, or got in a car accident or something like that, most of us don't truly injure ourselves doing normal things around the house, walking, even running, unless you twist an ankle, fall and break something. A lot of times the pains we get are onsets of TMS, based on the perception that running is dangerous, or I haven't run in a while, or whatever it may be, wearing some new shoes, whatever. So, love you guys and gals. Hope you found this helpful. Try to get as much clarity as you can, because a doubtful brain is not going to come off of this hypersensitivity if it still thinks you got a physical problem. So try to get clear. If you need help with that, join the group program, painforyou.com/join. Look into it. There's a course, there's some assessments, and weekly support programs where you get to ask me some questions and get help from me and some of the other group members. So love you guys and gals, and we will see you tomorrow.